I've been working part-time at a cozy, local bistro to help pay my way through college. It's one of those charming spots in a bustling part of town, with only a handful of tables, always booked solid because of our prime location and intimate vibe. We're not upscale, but we're special, a place where people come for memorable moments. Last week, though, I witnessed entitlement so brazen it turned a couple's special night into a near disaster and left me fuming. What unfolded wasn't just a clash of wills. It was a masterclass in how one person's arrogance can backfire spectacularly. It started with an email from a woman named Emily. She wanted to reserve a table for her boyfriend's milestone birthday, a once-in-a-lifetime occasion she didn't detail but clearly held close to her heart. Her request was simple: a secluded table, tastefully decorated, for which she'd pay extra. We love these kinds of bookings: thoughtful, heartfelt, reasonable. My coworker, Sarah, and I set to work, cordoning off a cozy nook in the restaurant. It wasn't fully private but tucked away enough to feel special, with string lights, candles, and fresh flowers. Emily stopped by earlier that evening to add a personal touch, a small, sentimental item she'd made for her boyfriend. Nothing valuable, but deeply meaningful. We ensured everything was perfect, the table marked with a reserved sign and a private event notice to avoid confusion. That night, Emily and her boyfriend arrived right on time, beaming with excitement. I greeted them, confirmed their reservation, and led them to their nook only to stop dead in my tracks. There, sprawled across the table, was an older woman, Helen, and her young grandson, their bags and coats strewn everywhere. They'd ignored the "please wait to be seated" sign at the entrance, the private event notice, and the reserved placard, claiming the table like it was theirs by divine right. My stomach dropped. Emily and her boyfriend were right behind me, and I could feel their anticipation curdling into confusion. Trying to stay calm, I approached Helen politely, assuming it might be an honest mistake. "Excuse me, ma'am, this table is reserved for a private event. I'm happy to find you another spot, but we'll need you to move." Helen's eyes narrowed, and she launched into a tirade. "We've been waiting forever, and no one's helped us." "This is ridiculous," she snapped, her voice loud enough to turn heads. I explained again, gently but firmly, that the table was booked, the restaurant was full, and they'd need to relocate. Helen wasn't having it. "I don't care about your signs. We're here now, and my grandson and I have every right to this table. The other places on this block are packed." Her grandson, oblivious, was fiddling with Emily's personal item, smudging it with sticky fingers. My heart sank further as I saw Emily's face fall, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. Sarah joined me, and we tried reasoning with Helen, but she doubled down, shouting about poor service and discrimination. The entire restaurant was now watching, the romantic ambience shattered. Emily and her boyfriend stood awkwardly, trying to stay composed, but I could see the hurt in their eyes. This was their night, meticulously planned, now ruined by Helen's refusal to budge. We warned her we'd call the police if she didn't move, which finally got her to gather her things, muttering about injustice and calling corporate. But the damage was done. Emily's sentimental item was marred, the table a mess, and the mood soured. Emily didn't blame us, but her quiet "it's okay" as we cleaned up felt like a punch to the gut. I apologized profusely, offering free drinks and dessert, but it couldn't salvage the magic of what should have been a perfect evening. As Helen stormed out, I overheard her complaining to another patron about entitled millennials ruining her dinner. The irony was infuriating. She hijacked a reserved table, ignored every sign, and wrecked a couple's special moment, yet somehow, she was the victim. But the story doesn't end there. Helen's arrogance set off a chain reaction she never saw coming. The next day, Emily posted a review online, not about our restaurant but about the incident, describing how a selfish patron had nearly ruined her boyfriend's birthday. She didn't name Helen but detailed the ordeal, vividly ignoring signs, yelling at staff, and tampering with personal belongings. The post gained traction in our tight-knit community, shared across local forums and social media. Regulars who'd witnessed the scene chimed in, describing Helen's outburst and expressing sympathy for Emily. The bistro's owner, touched by Emily's story, reached out to offer her a complimentary redo of the evening, which she graciously accepted. Word spread, and customers started asking about the rude lady from that night. It didn't take long to identify Helen. She was a semi-regular, known for complaining about wait times and demanding discounts for minor issues, like a slightly warm soda. A few days later, she returned, oblivious to the storm she'd stirred. Sarah recognized her immediately and alerted our manager, who decided it was time to draw a line. When Helen demanded a table insisting on the same nook, no less our manager calmly informed her that due to her disruptive behavior and disregard for reservations, she was no longer welcome. Helen exploded, threatening to sue, but our manager held firm, citing multiple customer complaints and the online buzz. We had security footage of her ignoring the signs and arguing, which shut down her claims of innocence. The fallout was swift. Helen's tantrum had been overheard by regulars, who shared the story further. A local foodie group on social media picked it up, and soon, Helen's name was synonymous with entitled behavior in our community. She tried posting a defensive review, claiming she'd been humiliated by rude staff, but the comments tore her apart, with locals calling out her pattern of bullying service workers. The bistro's reputation, meanwhile, soared. Customers praised our handling of the situation and our commitment to making things right for Emily. Emily's redo dinner was a hit. She and her boyfriend left glowing, and her updated review thanked us for turning a bad memory into a beautiful one. Helen hasn't been back since, and word is she's avoided other local spots after her story went viral in our small town. The incident cost her more than a meal. It cost her credibility and welcome in a community that values respect. For me, it was a harsh lesson in the service industry's front lines, dealing with people who think rules don't apply to them. But it also showed me the power of standing up for what's right and letting karma do the rest. Emily smiled during her second dinner. The warmth of that reclaimed moment made it all worth it. And every time I set up that cozy nook for another special reservation, I'm reminded that one person's entitlement can't dim the light of those who plan with heart unless we let it.